I have the privilege of visiting with Adam Baugh. He is partner and owner at Withey Morris, also a board member here at the Chamber, and just an all-around awesome individual. So thank you for joining me today, Adam.
Thank you. You read that script perfect the way I gave it to you.
That's right. I tried. Well, tell us a little bit about Withey Morris. I know through public policy and some of the efforts here at the Chamber, we see you around, but give us a good idea of what type of work you do.
For sure. Well, I'll tell you, I went to law school and I thought I was going to be an immigration attorney and did some pro bono work for a year and realized I definitely don't want to be an immigration attorney. But through that effort, I stumbled across an internship with the mayor of Phoenix. And I saw these folks come in, and whether they needed a liquor license or a business approval or a zoning case. And I just thought that whatever they did, I was impressed. And I said, I just need to do what those guys do. And manipulated my way into a job, worked for free for a few months before I convinced them to hire me, and flash forward, and now I own the firm. But it was a really good insight to a business and a practice that I'd never heard of. And what we do is we help cities grow. And we do that through representing developers, property owners, farmers, ranchers, business owners, and whatever it is that they need, perhaps a building permit, perhaps a zoning change, perhaps a code violation, perhaps just some additional signage. And we help them navigate City Hall. So I kind of like to call it, we're your friend at City Hall. And inevitably, it's always fun to work in Gilbert because it's a city or a town where I live. And my dad was a city manager growing up, and I always remember getting dragged to the opening of the dog pound and the opening of the senior center and all the different municipal events. And so in some ways, maybe this is like my way of being involved in the community, just in a different aspect. So we help businesses succeed and develop and grow in the town, and not just town, but valley-wide. And anytime you drive by a cornfield or hayfield, people think that's nice. And I think that should be a hotel or a neighborhood. So we help people get that process. Or when you see downtown Gilbert and you think, man, it'd be really cool to see, more living down there. We help make that happen. Or someone needs additional signage, we come up with a really cool concept plan and find a way to say yes, is what is sort of our motto with the town of Gilbert.
Yes, well, you do a lot of great work here in Gilbert, and you're a very humble and relatable leader, which I've always admired about you. I also think that now you know how your kids feel when you drag them to every ribbon cutting and shovel dig and all of those good times. And hopefully it rubs off on them the same way it did you.
It's funny though, because I do feel like I'm trying to drag them to stuff. I remember taking them to serve breakfast at that Christmas senior center thing, and I've taken them to different mayor's races here in town, or who knows what. And I just think they roll their eyes, but I think I did the same thing when I was their age, so I get it.
Of course. Well, you have been doing some work recently around safety for cyclists in our community, and that came out of an experience that your friend had a few years ago. Can you share some of your work on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I love to exercise. I love riding bikes, and I used to be a long distance triathlete and marathoner, and those days are gone, but I still ride quite often. And with a group of friends, recently a friend got in a car accident. Actually, I hate the word car. He got hit by a car. It's a car crash. And he was just riding down Greenfield Road. And thankfully, he was able to rehabilitate and get back on track. And but that was about 2 years ago, and we're always fearful of getting on the road. And so you'll see us riding at 4:30 or 5:30 a.m. because there's just less cars. And so we talked about how do we kind of improve the situation. And part of it is awareness. A lot of people just don't realize, you should give 3 feet. That's the law. And the other part is cyclists, I think, just have to be more respectful as well of traffic conditions. And so what we did is we thought if we could create that awareness campaign, how do we do that? So we partner with the town. We found the idea was that to create signs that could be posted along the street, just kind of like when you see the signs for the speed limit, you'll now see a sign that says give 3 feet. It's the law. And the town loved the idea, but obviously they didn't want to spend the money to do it because it's really not that much a priority given all the other things the town has ahead of it. And so we found a donor and the donors liked the idea, but just needed the money to be given to a nonprofit. And so thankfully with town, we found there was the Parks and Rec Foundation, which is a nonprofit entity. So we could take the money from the donor, give it to the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit then worked to town. And through that effort, then the town was able to use those funds to create and install these signs all across different arterial streets in the town. And something that was really cool, what I've learned through the process is the town is able to collect data from cyclists through an app called Strava, and they can use that app to determine which roads are most frequently being used by cyclists. They can then compare that data to police reports where there's been car crashes with pedestrians and cyclists. And then when you merge those two together, that's how we determine which roads we would be putting these signs on. So we did a test section in 2020, about 42 signs. And the donor was really thrilled with that effort. And so they made a second donation the next year. And so we're adding more streets with signs, and hopefully be able to paint some, I call it paint, it's not really paint, but putting the bike lanes painted green. And so it's just another visual reminder that that's a safety area for cyclists. And then we hope to help fund some pedestrian hawk crossings. And so pedestrians who need to cross a busy arterial street can do that safely with a light. Those are really expensive. Our funds won't solve it entirely, but they'll help contribute to it. And then we're trying to create more of a digital PSA. So we've been working with the police department. So you saw a little something last fall that went out to the Gilbert digital channels. We're working with the Street Transportation Department to maybe do 3 or 4 a year. And hopefully the idea is that cyclists become, that cars become more aware of the law and safety of cyclists. And then cyclists, I think, more aware of the cars and the more aware of the pedestrians that are on the trail. So I think it has to work both ways, but we're just started on it. And this is more of a passion project. It has nothing to do with my business. It just has to do with my life safety. And I convinced a guy to pitch in. So it all worked out well.
Well, I love it. I love the example you said of seeing a problem that impacts you and so many others in our community and putting a solution around it. And it's a really inspirational story. And I hope our community members put themselves around that too, and perhaps give in some way to support the efforts that you've put forth. So nice work. Proud of you for that work. It's really cool.
Good. Yeah,
right.
now I just need to, learn how to do like walk and chew gum at the same time, and then we'll just solve all the problems.
Well, if that solves all the problems, then let's start working on it. All right, last question. You have been involved in the chamber for quite a while now, and you've taken several leadership positions. Share a little bit about why you find the Chamber of Commerce to be important to you and your business.
I feel like I get a lot of value out of the chamber, probably more than I provide. So, and to me, it's the friendships and relationships and connections. When I was involved initially, there was no kind of direct benefit back to me because my practice is sort of valley-wide. But I've enjoyed being a participant. And as time went on, I started to find the need for these connections. And so it's been tremendously fruitful and beneficial for me, whether it's I presented a zoning case to the town, whether I represented a behavioral health clinic and I needed to start to form coalitions. And so through the chamber, I met people who worked in the medical field. I met people who worked at Dignity Health. I met people who worked at with other service providers, police and fire. And all those relationships came together to help solve a need, which was dealing with mental health issues. I couldn't have leaned on that and leveraged that had I not spent the time building those relationships in the 3 or 4 years prior to my involvement with the chamber. So my involvement initially didn't reduce results back to me, but long-term it's been tremendous. And my business is so relationships driven that I look at the chamber as just a way to strengthen this all the time. And I love the call. I got a call from a member the other day who had a question about a building and how to, he's looking to buy it, move his business into it. And how do you convert an old retail pharmacy into a new office building? And it was fun to say, dude, I love that idea. I don't know if I'm the guy for you, but I know how to navigate City Hall, and here's who to call, and go meet this architect. And I don't see any dollars out of that, but it was fun to connect people together and help that guy in the chamber kind of take the next step with his own business. So for me, I find the benefit in those connections and those relationships. And like I said, I think I get more out of it than what I provide, but it's been beneficial for me personally.
Well, I appreciate that. I think what you're saying is what we hear from many different members in different industries that it really comes down to relationships, and the chamber gives them a place to belong. It means something different to everyone, but it really is getting to know people and investing in others, and it comes back full circle.
Yeah.
Awesome. Adam, thank you so much for your time today. Grateful for our visit, and thanks for all you do for the town as well.